Hello fellow traders everywhere, Adam Hewison here, co-founder of MarketClub with your weekend update for the trading week ending August 19th. The tail that wags the dog. Once again, the problems with sovereign debt in Europe have spilled over into the global equity markets and in particular bank stocks. We talked about those on our show on Wednesday, but Europe is the tail that wags the dog, and in this case, it's the world. For the fourth straight week, U.S. equities closed lower and under pressure. Gold, on the other hand, was soared to new highs on fears of sovereign debt crisis getting totally out of hand. Well, here's some news for you. It is already totally out of hand. Crude oil slipped and losing about 3.65% for the week in choppy trading. So pretty much there you have it. The trends continue and are likely to continue in the near future. Now let's go to the weekly charts and see what happened last week in the major markets according to our trade triangle technology. But first, if you saw our show on Wednesday, you know we talked about the bank stocks and how weak they were and how they were going down, how the ETF, SKF was going to go up. All of those things happened. MarketClub TV phone line is available. It's open now. You can call us 410-867-2100, extension 129. You can get your questions on this coming week's show on Wednesday at 5 p.m. Just for calling in and leaving a question, you're going to be automatically entered into a drawing to win a free membership to MarketClub. Even if you're a member, you'll still have a chance to win. So don't be concerned if the phone lines are busy. Try calling again, 410-867-2100, extension 129. So let's go to the stocks and let's go to the markets. And I'm going to go right to my portfolio. And here we are. Welcome, Adam Hewison. I have the same setup as you do, so it's nothing special. But I'm going to show you how you can use our tools. Now, we're looking at the portfolio management. As you can see, I've got Fibonacci examples and so forth, leveraged inverse ETFs, equities, energy, metals. So I like to separate my various plays into like currencies, Forex. So we have cash Forex, these are currency ETFs. If I want to trade ETFs, it's all available to you on MarketClub. We cover 250,000 symbols. So you have lots to choose from. And if it's traded, pretty much you'll get it for one price at MarketClub. And this month, I think you can get MarketClub for just $8.95 for a 30-day trial. It's best deal on the planet. So let's go to the first market, and of course that's the S&P 500, and that was down 1.17% for the day. But look, when we go to the chart, and this is what I want to look at, is the weekly charts, because we're doing this a weekly show, and you can see, look, for the week, this market was down 4.36%. And for the previous week, it was down 1.71%. The week before that, it was down 7.18%, and so on and so on. So this market's dropped dramatically. And if we scope this out further and take a bigger picture look, you can see this market can go down quite easily to the 1,000 level, in my opinion, without too much trouble. The markets are very, very negative. I'll take some of these triangles off, which we don't need, but you can see pretty much, I'll leave the monthly one in. We got long here on the S&P at 1,131 and out here at 1,258. So it's pretty simple. It's a technique we've talked about, we've used, and we don't put these things in after the fact. They go in automatically. And you can see if we put our weeklies in, which was how we filter this, you can see we actually got out of long positions at 1295. And that was the key. We got in here at 1,300, so a small loss, but nonetheless we got out pretty much close to the top, which is pretty unusual for any system. So again, this market is a downtrend. All of our trade triangles are minus 100. I expect this market will be under pressure. When we open in Monday, I think this weekend is going to be a very, very disastrous weekend. I think bank stocks are going to come in sharply lower. Nothing's going to happen as far as I can see with the governments. You know, a long time ago in my career when I first started, I said, oh, but the government has to do something. Well, the reality is the governments are pretty powerless in this situation. So no one's had sovereign debt problems like this that are so huge that they just don't know how to get their hands around the problem. So we're going to go to the next market, and this is silver, and I'm just going to take the triangles off because you can see we've been long silver basically from 1874. We were waiting for another signal to get long. We got that signal on Friday. 39.81 was the point to be a buyer here, and we got into the market. And it's, excuse me, 42.20 was the way to get in. It closed at 42.66, one of the best closes we've seen in silver in quite some time. As I say, this is a weekly chart. You have to go all the way back to, well, you have to go all the way back, let's see, to April of this year to see a close. Actually, it's the best close we've had since these two closes, and that's in, let's see, in April. Yeah, these are the highest closes we had this year in April. And we came right down dramatically. We've regrouped. We're going back up. So it looks like the trend is once again your friend, plus 100. And you can see the various spots we had for our trade triangles here. So next market, which is the one probably everyone's waiting for, is the gold market. And the gold market obviously is closed up very well. It closed up 5.76% for the week, and it's very, very strong. Looks like it's charging towards the 2,000 level. Let me just say one thing. I remember when I was trading on the floors of the exchanges in Chicago, gold traded as high as 850. Everybody at that point in time, I mean, I'm talking commercially, we're saying, a retailer was saying, oh, it's going to hit $1,000 an ounce. I mean, that was like the mantra for every guru on the street at that time. The reality is, several years later, it traded at $200. Now, I'm not saying this is not going to go to 2,000, but what I'm saying is be careful. Really be careful. These markets can change quite dramatically. Gold has been in a very strong trend. You can see we're along from 1430 on our monthly. Our perfect portfolio and our World Cup portfolio that trade gold are doing exceedingly well. You should call us about that. And we think the trend is your friend. We've talked about this all the time. The trend is clearly up in gold. And what you may want to do, if you want to put some stops in here, some of the things we look at, you can see if we go down here, the market is overbought. No problem. It can stay overbought for quite some time. We're going to put our on-chart studies on, the Donchian trade channels, which we put in. Clearly, we have a very strong trend with the upper levels there. But the other thing that you may want to put on is for stops, is use this stop. You can see right here, the stops come in this week around, let's see, 1568. I don't think many people are going to have stops that far down, but that's really where you should be looking to have your stop. You may want to do it on a daily basis. I think that'll be better. In fact, let's just go to a daily chart, and we'll take a look at the gold chart here, and let's just scope this in so we get a real closer. So you can see here, we're looking at PSR as 1726, so it's $120 from here, and that's realistically the closest you can put stops in this market, which is going to be very volatile. A $100 drop in the stock is not going to be noticeable. But this is interesting how it's turned back from the highs as well. So really pay attention to the gold market, because I think it's going to be volatile, no question about it. So let's go to our next market. And we are going to be covering the backstops towards the end of the session, so stay tuned. But here we are, we're looking at the CLU. This is crude oil. And actually, crude oil closed just a little bit higher for the day, but nonetheless, it's still in a downtrend. You can see all of our trade triangles minus 100, strong downtrend. If we scope this out even further year to date, you can see that this market's way, way down. If we go even further out, you can see we're getting down to levels here around 75, which provided support earlier, but I think we'll probably retest that level again. If we go into the recession, that seems to be what the stocks are telling us, then I would imagine there's not going to be much demand for crude oil. So let's go back to our charts, and our next market's going to be, we'll look at the weeklies, because that's really where we want to look at. This is the dollar index, and you know, people say, well, the dollar's getting beaten up, the dollar's getting beaten up. The reality is the dollar hasn't moved since May of this year. It's been going sideways, 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 so it hasn't really gone anywhere. In fact, I think if you look at this market, and we'll scope this out a little further, but you can see really, if we go back to 2008, this is when we had the, the start of the crisis back here, 2008. Well, the dollar was actually really under a lot of pressure, and then it rallied dramatically. So we may still see a rally from these levels, but we're not getting killed in the dollar, which is contrary to what people were thinking earlier on. So let's see how that plays out. But generally speaking, the dollar index, I think that lost about 0.80 for the week, about not even 1%, but really not much going on in this market for the time being. But I think you really want to be the 73.50 area, which we talked about and talked about and talked about, is a very key support level on the dollar index. This is a basket of currencies we talk about every day in our 1 p.m. update. So let's go to our next market. The next market we're going to be looking at is the Reuters CRB index, and I'm going to scope this in just a little bit further so you can see our bias is towards the upside. However, our trade triangles are saying the market's negative. So which one are we going to go with? You go with the trade triangles because the odds are in your favor. You're not making a judgment. You're just simply going with what the trend is telling you. So the trend right now in this market is clearly on the downside, and we want to be trading that accordingly. But again, our bias is towards the upside, inflation kicking in, and I think somewhere along the line we will get some signals. These will turn green somewhere along the line, but it could be a lot lower. We could be down to 290 to 300 or even lower than that. So trade with a trend. The odds are in your favor. So let's go to our next market. And this is when we're going to look at some of the Citigroup, which is basically a bank under a lot of pressure, under a lot of trouble. It's not transparent. We don't know how much debt this bank has, and we're going to bring it up right in just a second here. Let's just look at. Okay, let's just go back to our portfolio manager, and let's go Bank of America. Let's see how that works. I just came in this morning, so we're pulling these up raw, and we should have these up in a moment. So let's see. Anyway, just while this is coming up, let me put this on the screen for now. But while this is coming up, Bank of America, Citibank, Wells Fargo, all closed very, very badly on Friday. And I think these markets, particularly Citi, is going to be under a lot of pressure on Monday when we come in to trade. So let's see how that works out. Again, you can call the TV show here, MarketClub TV, about this. We'll be covering the bank stocks on Monday if I can't get them up today, because we may be doing some maintenance, and that may be the case here. So let me go. Let me just do this 1 second. Yeah, we're just having some technical difficulties. We do some updates on Saturday morning, so that's what you're seeing. So give us a call for the show. MarketClub TV phone lines are open, 410-867-2100, extension 129, and we'll get you on the air, and we'll take your questions. And remember, just for calling in, you'll be automatically entered into a contest to win a free Market Club membership. How cool is that? Hey, this is Adam Hewison for Market Club. And I want you all to have a great weekend. And don't forget to tune in every day at 1 p.m. for our daily updates. Have a great weekend, everyone.